Hi, welcome to another episode of Watercolor Instructions with me. Today I'm going to try to attempt painting another landscape. So this one is, I'm guessing it's Assisi, beautiful place if you guys haven't been there. So again, in the image, as you can see, so you could easily split the screen half water, half sky, and there's a mountain range. There's a little bit of a fern tree, red fern on the side, a little bit of flowers in the foreground, and some houses. So I might simplify the houses, and what it looks like is about 4 or 5 sailboats. Maybe I'm going to do simplify it. Uh, we'll see how it goes. But this one is a nice painting to do. It's got all the elements, all the technical skills you would like to do. A little bit of reflection, um, water, sky, trees. Also, help me out by liking and then subscribing the video. Hit that notification button so that you don't miss another video. And if you have any comments or any particular drawing or any particular subject, please do write it in the comment section below, and I will get to it as soon as I possible. So, if you guys want to know what colors, pigments I use, do let me know. I can post an image, or probably I'll post an image on the colors. So material wise, I'm just using some standard synthetic brush, nothing fancy about it. These are, as I said, cheap brushes. They're plenty adequate for what we are doing. I use a 6B or a 6B fine liner pen for adding documents on drawing, not documents. What am I saying? And on my right side, I have a John Pike palette, 20 well palette. So I've got my yellows, my browns, reds, greens, blues, and a little bit of gray. A roll of tissue, a little bit of water in case it gets really dry. 2 bowls of water, one is slightly cleaner than the other. And let's crack on with it. So I'm going to just do half. So that's where we are. And then obviously it's been taped. And then also for an inclination, I just use a can of beans. There's 2 can of beans. It's taped so that it's nice and easy. So I'm going to do a little bit of mountain. It goes all the way. There's a tree. And there's a and there's shrubs and shrubs, and the tree concludes. I'm gonna add branches as and when it's needed. So also we've got a little closer. I've got a house. Okay, I'll just erase that just to get that. And then right now, I also want to simplify. And there's too much going on over there. I'm going to select few houses which so there's a house. Let's see. By simplifying, I usually do is slightly make the houses slightly bigger so that you can add few houses and yet still get the feel for the place. So there's another house. I will try to okay, and let's come down a little bit of shrubbery. And there's the local details. Can't see it in the background, but sorry, so you just add enough detail so that I think the arc is an interesting thing, so I'm gonna add that arc. And there's a little shrubs. Also, I'm gonna skip the one on the top, and then I'm happy with that. And there's a little bit of boat or some sort of details, and there's sailboat. So let's just add a little interest. I'll add a couple more buoys, and not to forget, the shadows are equally important. So reflection of all those is going to come in, and I would say that's what the details I want to add. So I'm going to just crack on. I'm going to just clean the brushes. Usually I don't clean the brush as much as everybody else keeps talking about cleaning the brush. I don't. I just make sure that when I use it, I wash them and I use them. So we could usually I do the sky, but then this one, the time consuming is these details. So I'm going to just try to finish this one first, and then I come to the other ones. So okay, a little darker in the inside. So it's a little darker. I'm going to use a little bit of cool. So it's always interesting to play with warm and dark colors. So okay, that's fine. So let's crack on with the other smaller houses. So there's a little bit of yellow ochre. So that particular house is yellow ochre. And it's got red roof. And let's add the red roof. Okay. A little burnt sienna. Mix it up a little more yellowish. And Okay. Red blue. Most of the houses are slightly white. I'm gonna just use a shade of gray on a couple of houses. And the particular houses. So I'm just building up the houses slowly, for sure. I'm just using some random colors. So the details are important to a certain extent, and there's also, this is in the foreground, sorry, in the background. So, and let's add, while it's still wet, a little bit of red here and there. I'm not trying to create it exactly, but I'm gonna, okay. And there comes a little more trees, plants. Okay. I'm gonna slightly use a slightly bigger brush and then give a little bit of coat, and I will come back and then develop that a bit further. Okay, so that was a good start. Okay, so let's start adding a few more elements. I'm gonna add a little bit of sky at the moment. So cerulean blue. So this one I'm gonna slightly wet the paper. Okay. So blue with a hint of, that was a bit too dark. I'm going to dilute it. I'm going to come in. Okay. Okay, that's fine. There was a little bit of yellow ochre over here. I'm going to add little yellow on the horizon. And moving on, a little more yellow ochre right here. I'm going to try to avoid okay, a little bit of yellow. And coming through, I'm going to just add a little more colors from the sky. this one is, I'm going to make it a little more cooler. And a little more red over here gives you a little bit of reflection. And we'll continue painting, blocking the colors. So a little bit of green. Okay. And moving on, I'm going to use a little more burnt umber over here. I'm going to create a little more undertone for the shrubs. Okay. And coming to add a little more pine. I'm using more pigment, less water. That should do it as a first layer. I'm going to slowly come and develop that. Oh, here. Okay. All right. So far, so good. I like what I'm. Okay. So while it's drying a little bit, let me add a little more details to the boats and the house and the other things. So I'm going here, I'm trying to dip in a little more pigment, adding a house. So door, adding a few more details. Which probably will enhance. Okay. So the door. Okay. So a little bit of branch. Okay. Okay. I'm just adding a little more. Shadows or adding volume. While the paint is still wet, I'm just mixing in some colors. Okay. All right. So this is fine. I'm gonna just add a little more foliage, different types of. I can see some sort of red flowers. And okay, I'll let it dry in this area. I usually use a hair dryer to dry out things, but I got young kids, so I don't use a hair dryer anymore, especially while recording the videos in the nighttime. And in the daytime, they wouldn't allow me to paint anyway. So I'm just adding a little more details to the house. That's a big house. So the one is okay. Okay. So I'm just adding a few more details that gives a suggestion that those are house. Okay. Let's come to the boats. There's a little more water. I'm gonna add in a little details to the boat. Maybe I'll make one boat little. Okay, and not to forget the shadow. So while the paint is slightly wet, I'm gonna come and drag a little bit. This gives me an illusion. Probably I need to go back and then add a little more depth. So I'm just mixing in all the colors. So I've got the colors. Okay. Okay, a little more gray. And let's come over here, and then there's lots of gray. Okay, all right. I would let it wait for a few minutes while a few more details. To the rocks. Okay, so I'm just adding those bit dark and same thing with a little bit of little bit of green, and need a boundary so that it's clearly a mountain. A little bit of random darkness. This painting is turning to be a little more darker than what I want, but hey, we'll see how it ends. Okay. Okay. Let's build that area. So there's shrubs, smaller small area, a little bit of shadows. Don't forget, the way to make it look 3D is to just add plenty of shadows. That's how you lift things up. Okay. Little so to make things more lighter, make the surroundings darker, and then they automatically pop up. So I'm just making the surroundings a little more dark, and the houses look a lot more lighter. And let's come to this place where there's a little bit of rock. I'm using burnt umber and a little bit of burnt sienna. I'm coming in making it, and not to forget, and there's a little bit of green on the top. Okay, all right. So how does it look so far? Okay, and I'm going to just add a little more. Red pines are very dark in color. Okay. All right. So while the boats are slightly dry, I'm going to add a little more details to the boat. So don't forget, all the boat have a mast. And there's something going on, but you can't make out what it is. That's probably the shadow of the boat. I'll add a little more chrome, which will, and Okay, so where are we? Okay, so we are almost coming very close. I'm going to just add a little more shadow to the trunk. And then we still need to complete this section, which we will. So I'm coming in, adding a little more highlights. Okay. Okay. And okay, let's go add some foliage in the front. So I'm going to use a very bristle brush, and I'm going to start creating some rough foliage. So also in between there's a couple of different texture. And I'm going to continue by mixing and creating some sort of interesting texture in the front. Always try to keep it as dry as possible so that okay. A little more depth here. Maybe. And I'll throw in a little bit of different types of foliage in between. These reservoir brushes are very good for these sort of details. Okay, and the last thing is I'm going to come in, add lots of small flowers. I'm going to just use white pigment, maybe a little bit of red pigment, and then I'm going to scatter around a little bit of flowers. Okay, so that, okay, that's fine. And then if I can find my white, I'm going to come in elderflower. I'm guessing that looks like an elderflower. I'm not really sure what it is. So as the one in the foreground, slightly the size drops. One in the front has a lot more to offer. Okay, and okay, that should do it. I will add a couple more branches or twigs. So to speak. just to connect it. Okay, we're almost getting close. I'm just going to start adding a little more shadows to the rock. And extend that. Make it a lot darker around that area. Okay. And a little more shadow on the mountain range. Okay. We can add a couple more twigs and branches here. Okay. Okay. So when I'm done, I'm going to just add a little more white highlights, and then we can call it a day. So the boat, a little more detail. And I also thought I'm going to add a couple more buoys in the center, which I didn't do it. One more buoy and a little more. Okay, so let's work on the water a little bit, see what's missing, what's not missing. The rock needs a little more reflection in the front. Uh, okay, so the water. So let's use that as an angle and then slowly build a little more depth to the water. Slowly, surely. So greenish turquoise water. So okay. Okay. I would call it quits. Um, a little critic about my own work. The painting was a bit too green, too dark. If I wanted to do it again, I would reduce, especially the green behind the village. If it was lighter, I think we got a lot of dark greens and darker tones on the right side of the painting. That would have balanced if the hill would have been a little more lighter. So it's a light demonstration. But again, this is how it's an iterative process. You see what went well and what didn't go well, and then you build on from that. But I would, if I have to change, as I said, make the background a little more darker. Sorry, what am I saying? A little more lighter. Other than that, I would continue with this painting. Probably at some stage, I'm going to do this painting again and then put another clip on revision 2 or a version 2, how the painting went. But that's what I would critique about it. Keep doing the painting, and then I hope to see you again. Thanks.